What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. I'm, of course, your host, Vaughn Coleman, and we have just hit 20 episodes. This is pretty exciting, and we got many more to come. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the guests you know from before, and if you haven't, it'll be nice to meet him again. The other you haven't met yet, two talented creators, and they're going to talk about their brand new book. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Breyden Boyd and Anthony Carranza. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Howdy. Hello, everybody.
Doing swell.
By the way, I realized I didn't ask. I didn't butcher your name, did I?
No.
Carranza? Okay,
Nope,
cool.
You got it good.
Yeah, no, I just, I like to make sure. So you guys co-founded Shape Comics. So, I will ask about that. But first, each of you individually. Breyden, I've had you on before, but for those of you that, I've gained a little bit of people, and there might be some new eyes. If you can go first, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into making comics, and what do you do?
You want to go first, Anthony?
You go ahead and go first.
Okay. Well, my name is Breyden Boyd. I'm 21 years old, live in Norman, Oklahoma. Currently a student at the University of Oklahoma. I'm a junior, I think, technically, with 2 years to go. And I got into comic books actually kind of during the pandemic when I was bored and didn't really have much else to do. I was exploring different mediums of art and other creative stuff. And then after posting some videos on TikTok, doing comic book related stuff, I got some good feedback and kind of just went from there. Now I do it for a job.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember finding you, but I'll get into that. But I do remember how I found you from there, actually. And Anthony, what about you? So, what got you into doing this? And
so obviously, my name's Anthony Carranza. I'm a Los Angeles-based illustrator. I also got into comic books illustrating comic books, that is, during the pandemic. We all had a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah.
But I've always been a retro-style illustrator, so that's kind of like how Breyden and I kind of met. We were in the same community, working it out, and kind of now we're just perfecting our craft, slinging pulps together. So yeah.
And
then, so you guys are from different areas?
Yeah.
So how'd you guys meet?
We've never met in person. We only met through I think Instagram, because we were both doing pretty much the same thing. We were two guys doing retro style comic book art and trying to make comic books with it. So we were like, hey, what's going on?
It's a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
A lot of it too. I mean, a lot of comic book relationships, especially nowadays, are international. I talk to these older creators, and they talk about how there was the Marvel office and everything, and it's such a foreign concept to I think most creators today, because it's half the time someone either won't be in the country or will be in a different state. You're sending digital documents to each other. The first comic I edited, I don't think I've met any of the creative team aside from two, in person. So it's just interesting, but making friends, there's all this crap about the internet, a lot of which is true, that it's, bad things, but it's also meeting so many people through this kind of hobby is great. Because I'm sure if you're into comics, I mean, how often do you find someone who's actually into comics?
Right.
Well, I have a big mentality just in general, and for anybody out there who wants to grow on social media, the best way is to be social on social media. Mm-hmm. And that's how I met Breyden, and we were just talking comics, and it's actually, I was the way we first met working wise was when he was doing Shape Man, and the big video blew up and the comic book was coming out, and that's how I ran into him. And then we were just discussing hey, I'm gonna come up with comic books pretty soon too. I'm working on one. At that time, it was the Calico Kid, and then which was a remake of the public domain character with a kind of a twist to it. And then he had a mini comic competition for the Shape Man, and then I made the Tiki Man short. And then from there, we collaborated on what was it? It was a Season of Bad Guys. With Craig Gleason.
Craig Gleason's Season of the Bad Guys Club. Yeah.
And then we worked together again on another mini comic book that was Day of the Dead, and that was a lot. That was our first like time we ever really collaborated together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, I remember. One of the first things, the way I found you was someone, because I'm into comics, and one of the only other guys in my friend group that reads comics goes, "Hey, I found this guy on TikTok. He's got this retro style. It's really cool." Sends me Breyden's video actually, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Oh," because I think that was around the time I was editing my first comic, and I was like, and then we just kind of kept in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the the beauties of this, and one of the reasons I love this show too, right? Is I've gotten so many different kinds of creators. So one of the two of the best ways, they're reaching out through social media is one. Another is going to cons. I highly recommend too, and just walking around talking to creators, whether they're indie or bigger creators too. It's just you make so many connections that way, and connections. You hear about it all the time. Like how important it is, and you can't stress enough. But your art, it's pretty damn good too. And I think one of the things that draws people to your art is how different it looks from everything else in the market right now. As much as I love, like, my favorite artist, I sound very normie for this, it's true, but like Jim Lee, I love those kinds of styles. But it's always refreshing to see something else. To me, your style is very different from his, but just in terms of the retro aesthetic and looking different, it kind of reminds me of how like Darwin Cook was so different from like everyone else at DC at that time.
I can genuinely attribute Darwin Cook as one of my like top 5 influences as far as an illustrator goes. In general, I think Darwin Cook's work was one of the reasons why I wanted to make comic books, because his storytelling and the way sequential action and all that was just really spoke to me and as an illustrator. So that's definitely on the Mount Rushmore for me.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to talk to you after. But my friends and I have been thinking, putting it off forever, of course, as creators, tend to do, this whole Mount Rushmore idea of like trying to figure out who's in our Mount Rushmores of artists. And it's tough to get it down to 4, man. It's really tough.
For me, it would probably be, Brayden's probably gonna laugh. First one is Frank Frazetta. He only made one comic book, so he only made.
I don't care. He's a good artist.
And then
he's great, but that's so Anthony of you to say.
Yes.
Put him on.
Number 2 will have to be Darwin Cook. Number 3, Jack Kirby. You have to put.
Oh yeah,
Jack
it's kind of like obligation to do that. And then 4 would be Wallace Wood. Those
are classics.
Good picks.
Damn. What about you, Breyden? Do you have any tops?
I don't really have any strong opinions about it. I was just gonna get mad at you if you didn't lock in Jack Kirby. He should be on anybody's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's hard because now I had to leave out Steve Ditko, Jack Davis.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's easy to say that, and then you start realizing who you have to leave off.
Al Feldstein. There's so many classic illustrators that I love in general. But
Kirby
those are just the ones that I like indulge in the most.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're like, just in terms of the amount he was able to do. I remember listening to an interview with John Romita Jr. and he was talking about how, he would go into the Marvel office and Jack Kirby was there, and he's like, Jack Kirby's like, how many pages can you do a day? And he's like, this many. And he laughs, and then he just goes, take this. He throws an eraser and he goes, throw it away, basically implying that just draw whatever. Yeah. And your first instinct is the best, and that's
what the inker is for.
Yeah, it's also you never learn really until you're working with all these people the importance of each and every role and talking to them really and figuring out what they all contribute.
Well, one thing about the Sonic Saturn project that I've really learned is having a colorist is awesome. We have a Violet Villanueva who's been coloring my work absolutely beautifully. I'm very excited we obviously have some previews on the Kickstarter, but those are just what I can't really show yet, or I can't really show everything I want to show yet, but what I've shown is just absolutely beautiful. You could actually, I see you got the Kickstarter pulled up. Why don't we scroll down to some preview pages to see the amazing work color wise?
Sure. Do you want me to pull up the trailer on this, or should I just leave it for the audience?
What do you guys think? You guys want to watch the trailer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's only 2 minutes. Oh, dude, yeah, I forgot. Film background.
Man, it looks so good.
Sonic Saturn, a tale from the far-flung future.
Where the hell are we?
The deep distant fog of an alien planet. King Crimson, evil tyrant, Princess Nova, ruler of the mighty Gemini warrior race. His courage, he tested.
Archie, I love one. Sure to everyone fly.
The challenge is a matter of survival. Death.
This planet can officially bite my ass.
Sonic Saturn, a tale from the far-flung future. Get your hands on the next best science fiction comic, packed with more than 100 pages of amazing space western action from Shake Comics.
Union Solar. We make everything.
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah.
We actually
so
unlocked
good.
the variant cover. Variant
Had-
cover is no longer a secret.
Ah, shit, dude. Like, all right. So I haven't. Now you've set the bar pretty high with trailers. So, guys, that's good though. You know, that's one of the things in the indies we got to do, or just in creative in general, is raise the bar. And one of the great things about being on your own is you force
See
yourself
how
to
an
stand out.
expert survives in space in Sonic Saturn. Only available on Kickstarter.
Well, that's right, kids, you heard it. And a Saldo Marathon only on the Union Solar Network.
This is where Breyden comes in.
These are the little teasers for the mini comics that are going to be in there.
And
Um,
oh,
So
sorry,
yeah,
what was it?
on the topic of trailers, I'm very big on immersion. I like to have, like, you know, as creators, we're building a world around us, you know, that's entirely foreign to, especially in the independent comic scene. You know, nobody knows anything that's inside my mind or what we've created. This is all relatively a new concept. So I like generating this, like, almost like, you know, Brayden's a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, and one thing I've always appreciated about the gameplay is how much effort goes into building a world around it to
Mhm.
where you feel like you're a part of that.
The
And that was the
immersion.
big thing with Union Solar, is you have this mega corporation that we know nothing about. The book barely touches on it, but I wanted to make it feel as if you're, you know, about to be on the ship with Sonic Saturn, embarking on this journey with him, you know, as they try to survive that, the alien planet and all that, you know. It's just, it's a lot of fun for me to just build that around there.
Mhm.
So that, in general, my approach to this Kickstarter was just to make you feel like, you know, you're in this atomic age science fiction, you know. And I love, you know, growing up in Los Angeles and Arizona, there's a lot of vintage signage, so I wanted to really adopt that, you know, and have that feel like, you know,
Yeah,
almost
like
like
those-
Boomerang, you know.
Like those
Yeah.
50 diners. It reminded me a bit of like the aesthetic of you see in like BioShock and Fallout a bit too.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Fallout is probably the main inspiration to Sonic Saturn.
I have to confess, I've never actually played it, but I know the aesthetic. I know I love it. I know I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's the cover, everybody. And in the video, we had a mystery variant cover, which is right below it, that we actually unlocked because all you
Wow.
wonderful people followed it. That's done by Michael Loya, who's the director of American Dad.
Wow.
So, really fun.
Well, how did you
project.
get him? That's awesome.
So he's just a good friend of mine, you know, us both being Latino artists, you know, we're pretty good friends in the community, so we
that's
help each
cool.
other out a lot.
It's good stuff, man. Yeah, that's all. You always got to, you know, reach for those connections. That's
Mhm.
great. The colors. Yeah, I know you mentioned someone else colored it. Do you used to color everything before, right? You guys?
Yeah.
So what?
I'm colorblind, so it's hard to color.
Well, you've been doing a good job. I would have never, you know, I would have never guessed. That's great. Yeah. So what made you? So did you just? I guess you just weren't super fond of coloring that.
No, coloring has always been a chore, so it's always nice to
Yeah.
have someone else work for me.
and it just splits the load really nicely too.
Especially on like a big project, So
Mhm. With that many pages, like imagining Anthony doing the whole thing by himself, like I would feel bad for him.
Mhm.
It'd be a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
it just pencils and inks. It's been just a relief, not even having to write, just having a writer,
Oh man.
And I used to do the art, like I did Shape Man 1 and I did the cover art for Shape Man 2. And I don't know if we've discussed it before on here, but
Mhm.
I have like a condition called Sharp syndrome, and it like affects my joints and my hands and wrists and like causes inflammation and stuff. So I don't really draw anymore. I'll doodle sometimes, but it's been really nice, like either way, to just focus on writing and have people help me with art, uh, like Anthony did for Shape Man 3. It's also just so much more fun working on a team. I think,
Yeah.
we're all putting our heads together,
This
and
is
it's
the
like,
biggest team we've had so far, and
yeah,
it's just been so much fun. Just like we have like this group chat, we're just bouncing back and forth on different
Mhm.
things. Like, oh, we just got to this, we just got to that. Sharing that fun has been like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest
and
part of it.
and everything about this Kickstarter, like if you look back at our previous two Kickstarters, we did like a Sonic Saturn one shot and like Shape Man 3. Like they were good. I mean, we got Project We Love for the first Sonic Saturn,
That's
like one
impressive.
shot.
Oh wait,
But
this is not the first one, Sonic Saturn?
No, we
we
actually
did,
did a one shot of it
yeah,
first.
we did like a
Wow.
little test run kind of. I mean,
I missed it, man. When was that?
it was way back.
September.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. Let's see.
But if you compare that one to like this one, we really went all out here. Like
We
we took
really
a lot
wanted
of,
to set a new bar.
yeah, where
I can tell.
and it worked because we got Project We Love like within the day, I think.
Yeah, as soon as we launched it, I got the
Good for
email
you.
like, "Hey, this is Project We Love." I'm like, "Already?" Because it took like
Mhm.
last time we got it, it took like towards like the end of the campaign,
Yeah, and we
and
did
this
get
one
it for
was
Shape
just
Man
like
3.
this was immediately like just like I mean we were funded within the day too, so just like all that work we put in building up to this, promoting it, getting the followers, all these extra stuff that we're doing, all that like right away to make it funded in the first day, just like really made all that work worth it.
How does because I'm gonna definitely go across multiple platforms. Like I'm gonna use Kickstarter, maybe Indiegogo, maybe some others. I'm looking at it, but like when it comes to projects we love, because I know that's featured. How does that work exactly?
So Kickstarter has kind of like a judge panel. It's
Mhm.
basically the people at Kickstarter who kind of work there, and they see all the projects that get launched, and they kind of hand select their projects that they like, and they kind of award a project we love. And you get this nice little GIF. You'll see it on the story panel. It's like a nice little flashing heart, and yeah. So
That's really cool, man. I mean, I love the aesthetic of your guys' stuff. One of the things that I like about the indies, because I got in through the big stuff like Marvel and DC, which I got in through the movies, and just seeing how like, and I still appreciate that stuff, but just seeing like the amount of innovation in the indie space, in terms of just everything really, it's great. So, Brayden, you didn't write the main story then?
Right.
You wrote this one. So it's how many pages again?
in total, it's going to be 120 pages from front to back.
And that is for only $30, dude.
Yep, only $30.
And then 50. All right, guys, that is a hell. Wow, dude. That is a hell of these guys. They need, and not even as much need. It's more so like, dude, this is an amazing deal. So everyone, make sure you get it. While you still can. I mean, this is just wow, 100-something pages for 30.
Yeah.
That's really good, dude. And so is it? I assume that's including because it's multiple stories. Like how? I assume Sonic Saturn is like the biggest one, right?
Yes. So our two mini comics that for Union Solar Sentries and the Ghost in the Machine are a total of 8 pages. So 4 pages for Sentries and 4 pages for the Ghost in the Machine. Two very talented illustrators with Nicholas Malera, who we worked with before on the Shape Man 2 with Microman and Bullet Boy. And Gabe is making his comic book debut with Union Solar
nice.
Sentries. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we love to see the
The
So I
Centuries
noticed-
in general is on the topic of immersion. Like, so the Centuries is a story that exists within the world of Sonic Saturn. It's a popular television show that people watch during the year of 5005.
Wow. 5005, you're going way. That's smart because I've seen all these setting stuff in the future is a pain, but it becomes easier almost because it's like you see all these sci-fi movies, right? Like Alien or whatever. Or you see even like Blade Runner, where it's like the dark future of like 2017, and I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's pretty smart. You avoid that. It's like, okay, well, you'll cross that bridge like 3,000 years from now, or
Yes. It'll be nice, to think that people, in the year 5005 can pick up a copy of Sonic Saturn and be like,
that would be really a
wow,
relic
this
of the
guy
past.
assumed a lot.
He was right. Yeah, this is great. So I remember you talking about how you guys are doing that superhero book, and Breyden, I remember you mentioning how you wanted to draw something different. So what were your biggest inspirations for this book?
So Sonic Saturn is just a compilation of everything that I like. Cowboys, retro, like 1950s space age, like Cold War, aliens, dinosaurs. It's just an entire compilation of everything that I like.
That's
just
like a kid's
hodgepodge
dream.
into something. Yeah, exactly. It's
my dream too. I say kids as if I didn't grow past that.
Are you familiar with Murder Falcon by Daniel Warren Johnson?
No, but people keep giving me shit because I haven't read any of Daniel Warren Johnson, and this will be on the list. So
you gotta
Murder Falcon.
do a power bomb.
I haven't read his stuff yet. I own a copy of Murder Falcon that I've been needing to read, but that's basically the same thing that he does with that one. Is that it's like it's heavy metal, it's rock and roll, it's lightning and thunder, and Murder Falcon is literally like a falcon that wears jeans and is like super buff and has a metal arm.
Yeah.
I love the simplicity of it too, the name. It's like I always like I have a list of character names that I don't even know how long. Just even if it's a shitty name, like, well, it could be a character who dies in 2 seconds. But Murder Falcon, I just like the simplicity of that. Murder Falcon. Even your, I like this how your art, because I was looking at your stuff, and I'm one of those people where like and I'm like, oh, they did get away with putting this many panels. Like I like that I think you had an average like 6 panels a page on Shapeman. I was looking at your stuff, I like how simple your art is. Very simple, but like, and it's easy to follow. Like your storytelling is great. It's easy to follow. Oftentimes there'll be like great art in comics, but it's like, I don't know what the focal point is. I don't know what, and I like that your art, you seem to have like a lot of detail, but it's still got that simple look that I think is just fantastic. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson, I hear his Wonder Woman, what was it, Dead Earth, was fantastic. I haven't read it yet.
He also has a Duo Power Bomb. That's a good one too.
Is that one of his originals?
Yeah, Duo Power Bomb. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get work on following some of these people, outside of, and it's also crazy because just in general, like the indie space, and that's one. Yeah, again, I just like seeing this kind of stuff, and it's all this is fantastic. We got. Sorry, I'm just kind of baffled. I'm like, looking at my stuff, and I'm like, shit.
Sonic Saturn is essentially if Frank Frazetta was involved in Fallout.
Ooh, that is a pitch. All right, hang on. Are you going on any more shows?
Dude,
you have to use that.
I think soon, yeah. So
I'll get you in contact with some people. Use that.
If Frank Frazetta
awesome.
did Fallout, it would be Sonic Saturn.
There you go.
Because the big inspiration for the first book is Fire and Ice, which is was Ralph Baci's animation of Frank Frazetta's IP.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, like Thunder is a big influence for me too. So yeah, I just wanted to make cool stuff.
That's what it's all about, man. Just making cool stuff.
And the thing is like the character, it's a guy with a helmet that's shaped like Saturn. Like it already doesn't make sense. Great. So I just like, the more crazier you go, the more fun it is,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, that's, oh wait, sorry. Did am I looking at Thundar? Where am I?
It's a Thunder, TUH, and then comma DA.
Sun.
And then Thunder.
Oh, Thunder.
Yeah, Thunder. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have seen
That was
before.
actually Frank Frazetta's first book. It's it's a bit dated, and when it comes to social influences, but the art is fantastic. And you can you compare that book to like more of Frazetta's older stuff, and you kind of see the progression he made as an illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of controversy with that book in general when it comes to the art, and then that this book is the reason why Frank Frazetta doesn't make comic books anymore. So it's just like,
that's unfortunate. Yeah, but he did some great covers and art pieces in general. It's he did so little technically, and it's still what he did was so great.
It just goes to show if you if you paint a world around just one picture, it still impacts people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really. So you guys are big into sci-fi. What about sci-fi movies and stuff?
Oh yeah. What was that one that just came out with what's his name? The guy who played Kylo Ren, Adam Driver. He just came out with that sci-fi flick.
Oh. It's like it's a number.
52 billion years.
It's like 47 or something.
Yeah, 47 billion.
Or 27 maybe.
Something like that. But I watched that and I was like, this is if Sonic Saturn was a movie. That's cool. But yeah, it's just like an alien that like crash lands on a planet, and it's an alien who crash lands on Earth, and like he has to survive the dinosaur ages basically.
Oh, so it's so Sonic Saturn, like, because I thought he was just wearing something and that's actually his head.
No, so the Saturn is actually a helmet. So that guy right there in that bottom panel on the preview pages, that's Johnny Estrella right there, turns in. He basically builds a ring around his helmet that helps stabilize his jetpack after it's damaged.
Okay, and he's so the plot of this is what exactly? I apologize. I'm so lost in the art and the aesthetic.
Oh, it's okay. So brief overview. So the year is 5005. Around this time, humans no longer live on Earth due to massive pollution. Water is no longer drinkable. The air is no longer breathable. Yada yada yada. And so this mega corporation built these domes throughout the solar system. So different planets and moons throughout our solar system have these huge cities, like Johnny's from Titan, which orbits planet Saturn, and he's an engineer for the company Union Solar. Basically, Johnny and his team are working on satellites around the solar system, and I feel like I said that word a lot. They get sent to go rescue another team. So his team is called Sonic Saturn, and they go to rescue another team who's basically working on a secret project. And they end up getting sucked into a black hole, and then they crash land on an alien planet called Gemini. On the planet Gemini, they find out that not only is there a native population, but there's a evil tyrant king there who is pretty much enslaved and try to wipe out their population. And so Sonic Saturn kind of essentially helps them.
That's awesome. So it's not set on Earth. It's set on a planet.
Yep.
But the people are from Earth.
No.
No.
All the humans here from the planet from the moon Titan. Nobody's from Earth around this time.
But they just look human.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean that's like it's amazing. Like the Kryptonians look human. How many humans in Star Wars they're all
it's much easier to rationalize and relate to. A character.
Yeah, you don't want them looking like some bug, for example. Yeah. No, totally. I also just love how creative people get when it comes to aliens. Speaking of which, I noticed Shapeman also had some alien stuff. Are you guys super into aliens, or like
we just love science fiction?
Science fiction.
The alien part of Shapeman, like, you kind of forget. Well, you don't forget about it, but like it's not really. I mean, it doesn't take place in outer space. He's an alien who crash lands. I don't think we even like. Do we even say that he's an alien? Maybe they like think that he might be in the first book.
I think in the introduction he was introduced as an alien.
Oh.
Yeah, no, because he crashed. All right, I should have brought out the books for this. Consult the source, but
I might have one on me.
we'll have to. Speaking of that, do you guys, for those that haven't read your stuff before, including the original Sonic Saturn comic, is there a way to get any of that on the campaign? Any of the older stuff, or
So all of our stuff is available digitally on our website.
Right,
I think we still have a few physical copies. I know we're completely sold out of Sonic Saturn's one shots. It kind of seemed like everybody kind of grabbed those after we announced the new Kickstarter.
Are you planning on bringing them back, or
probably not, since it was a one shot? It's no longer canon. So
it's not canon. That would have been my follow-up question. Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
But we still got how many? I think we're still good on Shape Man's and Shape Man 2 and 3. Boy,
we are.
Him.
Sorry.
So yeah, if you want a copy of Shape Man books, you could still snag those on the website.
We need to add some more stuff to our shop because people have been asking for like T-shirts and more stickers and other things like that. But right now, all we've got is like physical copies and then that one sticker pack right there.
Yeah, we had a pretty good May when it comes to selling stuff, so we're kind of low.
That's good though. You're selling out, man. That's good.
Yeah.
You don't want to. There's so many people that will just sit on they print out all these books and they sit on it. But you got it. I do love the way you guys. You're so focused on just like the art form and just your appreciation for it. I feel like that comes from both creating and then also consuming a bit. Even just like down to your. I remember hearing like looking at your characters' head shapes are also all distinct from each other too. And these guys I know are they're not appearing yet, but By the way, any Cyclops inspiration here, or
a little bit?
Yeah. Not that he invented the idea of a vibe. I mean, obviously got RoboCop and got so many people. The visors look cool, man.
They do look cool.
Even the mutant gang from like Dark Knight Returns. Oh, and that's cool. Yeah, you got the link. Yeah, you look at you guys. You're killing it. You're doing everything right.
We've been trying to make our website very simple and easy to follow, but we will be having more stuff soon. But like as far as like T-shirts and stuff, we have 2 available on the Kickstarter, and that's kind of like us jumping into like, okay, we need to start selling shirts again. So and we got trading cards now too, and bookmarks, fun stuff like that.
And what's good about the T-shirts is that they're paying you essentially to advertise you.
Oh yeah,
they're walking around with it.
I'm really excited for people to get the property of Union Solar Atomics Co. Because I just love lore so much. So to like have some random person walking around and be like, "Oh, what's Union Solar?" Well, it's this fake company from a book called Sonic Saturn, and then it opens up more doors than just the comic cover itself.
True.
Yeah, man.
I didn't think about it like that, but yeah.
You've
got a conversation starter.
So is it like? Shared world at all?
As far as the shared world, Forge, Omega, Surge, and Shape Man are all in the same world.
But Sonic Saturn is because I guess it's way in the future. You don't have in.
So we both have our own ideas and like creative direction. So we have 2 separate universes. So Sonic Saturn will exist in a world that includes another property, 2 other properties of mine, the Calico Kid and Ivy Estrella. So those will both be really fun. But we have 2 separate Earths technically, kind of like how Marvel and DC do it. There's a bunch of different canon lores and all that. So,
and we may even have more as we continue to write more series. Because I have like a small plan for this like little group of heroes right here. And then after that, I plan to move on to like a sci-fi horror series. And that will probably take place in a different universe than Shape Man and his crew.
Then we also have Tom's project, Rodeo, and the Devil's Guitar. That'll probably be its own universe too. So like not everything is intertwined. We don't try to put a lot of emphasis on like these huge like universes and team ups because it's a little redundant in the world of comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like the idea of I love having universes and everything, and the problem sometimes it could be a burden. Like I'm building my own, but it's like, especially now where what they would start doing is they would have like crossover events, and then those would do really well, and so they'd start making where it's like every single event, it's like you're reading Green Lantern book, actually, no. Every character is going to show. Like I'm reading Wonder Woman books. It's like, nope, the entire Justice League is going to show up like every 3 issues. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Or it's like you want to read this? There's been a cosmic shift. Oh, you don't understand that? Well, I guess you have to read this crossover event. That's actually a lead up to another crossover event.
I genuinely appreciate when you can just pick up a book and you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't need to read the first 5 to get it, And I feel like that's something that's lost in a lot of comics.
Oh, absolutely. The simplicity too. I mean, there was they'd have to sometimes to a detriment, admittedly, but they would have to, give you a brief synopsis for the characters before every issue. I know Chris Claremont talked about that when each X-Men issue was written like it was his first time. Let's see. My friend Tomas, this is the guy who actually introduced me to you, Brayden. He's the one that said, hey, check this guy out. He's cool. Send me a text. He said, universe is written by one creative team can be more cohesive. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's also with editorial. I can't tell you how much time, even with the older X-Men comics, where it's like, wait, this person showed up in this book, but this event hasn't happened yet. And I start going insane, and I'm looking online, and like the general consensus is, yeah, no, this just doesn't make sense timeline-wise. Mm-hmm. But it's important to read. It happened, but it just doesn't make sense. And it's like, what?
Yep.
But that's what it seems like. You're doing a much back to basics approach, and I really like it. Yeah,
and team ups have been on the table before, but even in the approach of team ups, we like it to be like its own separate thing. Like you don't need to for example, you don't need to read Shape Man to understand that he's teaming up with Forge, Omega, and Surge.
Right. No, absolutely. But it'll like incentivize you. Oh, I want more. Well, here's more.
Yes, because you want to have to read more. You just don't have to. And I think when people are less obligated, they're more likely to invest themselves into it.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm getting at with I think because it's really the X-Men is the ones that really kind of, it was like X-Men, then New Mutants, then X-Factor, then X-Force, then Excalibur, or actually X-Force is last. But you get the idea. It's like too much. The way where sometimes it's great and sometimes like, to stop the story, go to the next series. You want to make sure that you're always like, it's almost like a voluntary thing where it's like, yes, I want more.
Yeah. Yes. Because, we as people, nobody wants to like have to do anything, like obligation is like a surefire way to turn any person away. Mm-hmm. If you just have people feel like they're involved in the story, and like, I think, and this is more towards Boyd and less towards myself as far as credit goes. Boyd has built this platform and image that like if you like have these characters from your childhood, you have these ideas, if you act on it and you really chase it, people will relate to you and they're willing to check you out, and that's why Sonic Saturn is such a big deal for me, because while I don't have the redrawing superheroes I made as a kid, part 1 Shape Man, I have something such as Sonic Saturn that visually represents everything that I liked as a kid, which was watching old cartoons with my grandparents, watching Westerns, collecting random Hot Wheels, and just listening to like old school music and all that. Like, so I'm able to express that same magic as my better half, Boyd.
I don't know about better half.
So you talked about like cartoons you grew up with and Westerns. What were some of your favorites? Because I've been kind of getting into Westerns like over the past couple of years.
So I'm a really big fan of Italian Westerns in general now that I'm older and I just dive into stuff. So I'm a big fan of the old Django series, like Django Prepare a Coffin, fantastic movie. I like Once Upon a Time in the West, and then obviously the more known classics such as like The Magnificent Seven. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's 2 other films that go with it. And then as far as retro cartoons, I grew up a lot watching Boomerang, so the Jetsons, Flintstones, Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest can probably be a big influence to Sonic Saturn, as well as the Jetsons. So
that's what my
Jetsons I saw right away. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. I was just saying, Boomerang was what my grandparents had on when I was a kid.
Yeah, like, just watching Tom and Jerry, and I feel like I was privileged to like be exposed to like the art of Hanna-Barbera, MGM, Quincy Jones, all those like wonderful creatives at a very early age, because it kind of sets a bar for you creatively, and you're introduced to something that has like a lot of saturation to it the more you dive into it. And yeah, it was made for commercialism, but I don't know, you could really feel the creative team through those kind of cartoons. There's obviously in the newer cartoons there's still that too, but I feel like a lot of the bigger studios kind of chop the legs down at a lot of creatives, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's also like one of the things that people are afraid, and I do this too, and I'm sure Boyd, I'm sure you deal with this. Trying to build your world is finding the balance between just telling a story just cause, and then building a franchise. It's like and a brand, right? Is I that tug where it's like you want to make sure you're keeping things consistent. But you also want to make sure that you're doing it because you love it, and oftentimes you look at, like, for example, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. There's no way in hell they thought all of these were going to be like multi-million-dollar franchise. They were just like, all right, he's Spider-Man. No, wait, actually, that was Ditko. But you get what of all the characters that said the not Kirby one.
It's okay. I mean, you just picked the most iconic Marvel character.
You know what I mean? They're just and that's one of the things I like about comic books is you get these ideas and you can just do them. In a movie, like I can't imagine how many years off, because I know you do things like with directing and stuff, to have the CGI to be able to do, Shape Man, right? With all these crazy whatever, or Sonic Saturn, what I like is that we're young, we have these imaginations, we could just go for it. The comics.
It's really funny. If I was to ever get like a feature length film for Sonic Saturn, I would really want to like tie into the influences of it, like get some like Ray Harryhausen style claymation figures into it, and like
they don't use that enough anymore.
Yeah, I'm just like I knew people would be like, well, the special effects suck. I'm like, thank you. Like that's kind of what I was looking for with it.
I mean, I'm not one of those people that just shits on CGI because like sometimes it does look better, or like sometimes you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot. Even you look at some of those Universal monster movies, like some of the makeup is still really good. Speaking of which, Boyd, someone right off the bat said I like the creature poster up 2 points. I don't know what the points go towards, but you have 2 of them.
I'll take them.
There you go.
You.
Oh yeah, and your colors has been in the chat. I just but. I also made the trailer. Oh, cool. How you doing? And then I'm tired of seeing my cover. Is this?
Oh yeah, that's good. So Golden Age Graphics, Sean Peterson painted the cover.
Ooh, painted. Or I thought it looked. Oh my God, Frazetta! The Frazetta influence doesn't stop, does it? You just. I love it. I love it. Frazetta's the man.
That was like I think I cannot express this enough. The product of Sonic Saturn is simply my passion project for everything that I like. And I hope when people pick that up that they, if they don't know those influences and they hear this, like dive into that, because I feel like, you'll find something you genuinely like,
Mm-hmm. That's what I think like Stranger Things did with so many people is it was like a lot of people just got into it and then they started learning about like I knew those movies pretty much. Like I knew anything from Stand By Me to E.T., but there were people that didn't. And so when they'd see these compilations of like, oh, this is pulled from this, it got them into all that. And I can see this comic totally doing the same thing with just, pulling people back to the classics.
Yeah.
It's just always nice to see things people love coming through in what they make. Because it always increases the quality.
The cover alone, when you look at it, you're like, that guy likes EC Comics and Gold Key Comics.
Oh, that brings me actually to my next question. So my friend Tomasi said, any EC Comics inspiration with Sonic Saturn and the Horror Project?
Absolutely. So Sonic Saturn obviously pulls a lot from like weird science, weird fantasy, The Art of Wally Wood and Al Feldstein. And then just in general, the storytelling and the color selections are very ode to the entertaining comics specter. Absolutely. If you were to ask me what's your favorite comic book publisher, it would probably be EC Comics, just because, Tales from the Crypt actually was the first ever comic book I picked up. And
What, did you go back in time?
No,
No.
I've always had an old soul, so I just
No, I'm joking.
I gravitate to that,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Tales. I need to read those. And what was the one that like changed everything? It was like Master Race, right? Was that EC or was that someone else?
I don't think Master Race was EC, but I
It
know
wasn't.
Master Race. I can't think of the publisher off the top of my head, but EC is probably most famous for Tales from the Crypt and Mad Magazine. So, but I mean, you talk about illustrators. EC had the, Marvel had the Kirby and all that. Like EC had the Al Feldstein, the Wally Wood, the Jack Davis, the Johnny Craig. Like a lot of illustrators that like are very iconic but not very known by name. And Wally Wood, ended up going to Marvel later to work on Daredevil.
So when the ban, like, or the Comics Code Authority was coming out, wasn't like EC like one of the first to go down?
Bill Gaines famously testified on there, and they asked like, this is not gonna be verbatim, but it was like, oh, do you think this cover is too violent? And he's like, I think it'd be too violent for a children's story, but this is a horror comic. And then they're like, well, do you think there's too much blood? No, I don't think there's too much blood for a horror comic. It'd be a lot of blood if there was blood coming out of her like decapitated head or something. And then they were like, there's blood right there. He's like, oh yeah, it's coming out of her mouth, but he's just like, and then that's the thing about censorship, is like it's very subjective because we all have different tastes. What I find violent can be very not violent, or vice versa. And that's the thing about comics. And funny thing, the more I research it, the less I find out is that comic books don't have a standard rating system, and I've always tried to rate Sonic Saturn, and so now I'm left to myself like. I just say this is recommended for ages 13 and up. There's kind of like mild nudity, mild violence. And when I mean nudity, I mean like, the natives don't necessarily wear full clothing.
Okay.
And then there's violence, there's a worm that gets shot. And, so like, it's kind of like the rated T for a video game would be.
So you said worm. Is any influence from Tremors then?
No, actually, Dungeons and Dragons.
You know what's funny? I know for a fact I love Dungeons and Dragons. Seems right up my alley. But like I haven't made the time for it yet. I know it would be a great stream actually.
Don't worry, I haven't played either. I actually have a big book that's just on like the world of Dungeons and Dragons and the original monsters.
Yeah, maybe I'll make time once I get some comics out.
Boyd's really into it. I'm sure he can talk a lot on Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, we play every Friday.
Yeah, Master Race was an EC story. Okay, cool.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. The nerds in my chat, so.
That's what we're all for.
Oh, yeah.
There's the saying that says, you may not know everything, but your people know everything.
Oh, yeah. That's what I make the chat do. I'm like, chat, look this up, Or I do it. I have a million tabs open. I've been meaning to pick up the EC Comics collection, but IDK, if the remastered, recolored editions ruin it.
No, the remastered collections still have their halftones, although they are printed on glossy paper, so they're a little more saturated, but it still reads good.
It's not like, because I know sometimes they'll just like totally overdo the cover.
Well, that was the big thing is I read the Fantastic Four collection. I love the Fantastic Four. And when I picked it up, it was recolored, and I'm like, it's okay, like it's still I feel like just Jack Kirby's like art gets kind of lost in the new colors.
Yeah, you want to make it I know people have talked about it. I know there's like color theories, a whole thing, and like and whatnot with your thing.
Well, that's the big thing on EC is that they colored with this specific approach to look different than the other bigger companies such as Marvel and DC. They used a lot of purples and greens rather than reds and blues. So that's a big thing that we try to use in Sonic Saturn.
Just the color schemes. That's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, this is just, it all looks great. I swear I've seen a character that looks like this red guy.
He takes a lot of inspiration from Dr. Doom and Cobra Commander.
I literally wrote down Cobra Commander. I thought, I thought that right away.
It's the first book kinetically, so I wanted to have this generic, really heavy baddie,
Right.
You got to have your Who was the villain in Fantastic Four #1?
The first villain. Well, there's technically no villain, but the mole.
Okay.
The mole is the second one.
Mole Man. Yes.
Yeah.
Classic.
That guy was a goober.
But that's not really a generic.
Yeah, I
liked him.
I love
He
those
is a big
villains.
goober, though.
there's like those also, the second issue of Spider-Man has Vulture. You know who else it has that no one cares about?
Chameleon.
No, Chameleon was #1. It has
Oh,
the
yeah.
Tinkerer.
Oh yeah.
He was made a
Tinkerer.
resurgence. But I love those those extra villains. There are villains where I'm like, what? Like there was someone that was like the Meteor. I don't remember him. But apparently that was was that a Ditko
I don't
villain?
remember.
He was like a Ditko villain. Like it's so weird. It's like every Ditko villain is like even down to the even the less iconic ones like the Enforcer.
Why don't we have the chat drop some obscure characters?
Yeah, give me some. I know the Wall is
Yeah.
one that people like. He's just a guy who's dressed like
Pink
a wall.
Floyd.
Reminds me of Mad Monk. That's what I was thinking. Okay, Mad Monk. That's
Who's
what I was
Mad
thinking.
Monk? I'll have
Yeah,
to look
yeah.
him up after this. Or you want to pull up a picture?
I
can
don't know
pull
any
him
of these
up.
people.
I don't know Mad Monk.
Dude, Batman villain. Yeah, holy shit. Yeah. Wait. Okay, so if you don't know
We
Mad
can't see
Monk,
it.
that's actually the biggest.
I can't see it.
I know. I'm pulling it up. No, I just found that on my screen. Yeah, sorry. I react. It's always like I react, and then I have to wait a second so I could pull it up, and then everyone can follow me. There's like a delayed.
I'm gonna
Right.
cry. I'm gonna cry.
Imagine
right
if
now.
it's just. Oh wait, I pulled up the wrong. All right, Mad Monk. I should have just done it this way to begin with. All right, here we go. Mad Monk.
Oh, that's King Crimson. Except he doesn't wear a long robe.
King Crimson. Oh, is that your villain? That's a good name.
We took it from the band King Crimson. I just changed the C in the band's name to K. So it'd be more like Mortal Kombat-y,
Yeah. Are you? Oh yeah, you a fan of Mortal Kombat then?
Yeah. But I'm a big fan of alternative and metal and all that. So King Crimson, the band, So
Yeah.
and even the name of the book, In the Court of the Crimson King, is a King Crimson song. So
What kind of music do you like then? Yeah, I love alternative too.
favorite band is Black Sabbath, so I'm a big metalhead.
good
So,
one.
and then most of the illustration playlist, I'm sure Violet is gonna be laughing right now, is Black Sabbath, Scorpions, Europe, let's see, Kiss. So we just throw anything on. Cupid.
Badge the Squirrel from Green Lantern. Oh my god.
I know Badge the Squirrel. That's a
Do
good
you?
one.
I don't know
I
that
don't
one.
know that, I don't know that one either.
I'm a big Green Lantern fan, so that one I got.
Badge the Squirrel. But that did not help at all.
That is a
That's
squirrel
just a,
badge.
That's just
that
a
is a
squirrel.
squirrel badge.
Badge is his name? What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Chip? Oh, Badge. Oh, wait, it's Chip and Badge. Yeah, there's two different ones. Did they
Yeah.
kill off one of them?
I think Badge dies.
Was it Badge? How do you kill off like a squirrel, man? That's messed up.
Hey, at the end of the day, he is a police officer, an
Yeah.
intergalactic police officer.
Yeah,
so
he knew what he was doing.
rest
he
in
did.
peace.
Yeah, he put his life on the line for heroic duties. Yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's
who's everybody's favorite Green Lantern here?
Yeah, I have to read more. I'm about to read Rebirth soon. But
Okay,
how?
that's
The
a good
one I grew up with is John Stewart. so
I
he'll
grew up
always
with John Stewart, so that's
Is
my
the show,
favorite
right?
too. Yeah.
But Hal I like because he's just so cocky.
I like
he-
Hal, but only in the Darwin Cook's New Frontier.
I
I feel
need
like
to read that.
he had a lot of personality in him with that.
Yeah, I need to read New Frontier. I know I like
There's
him
a
in the
couple
movie.
of homages to the New Frontier in Sonic Saturn.
Oh, okay.
So like the way the spaceship looks and all that, those are a couple nods to Mr. DC.
hmm Yeah, man. I know some people that were like very close with Darwin, and he was like the coolest dude.
See, he genuinely was when I watched like interviews of him. I'm like,
Yeah, he
that's
just
what
seemed-
I want to be as far as an illustrator goes.
That's
You know,
how I feel like Todd McFarlane is.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I feel like I could totally hang out with him.
Yeah.
I've heard that he purposefully will not eat or drink a whole lot before he goes to a con so that he can stay at the table the whole day and not have to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I believe it. That yeah, Todd. I mean, everyone seems to really like Todd. Like he just seems like, because first of all, everyone wants to be him because of what he did for artists and just creators in general, where he was just able to go, you know what, I could do this on my own. Everyone told him that you can't, and then he did. They call him the Todd Father for a reason. And he's like, I've heard so many stories about people just go up to him like, "Hey, Todd, can you do me this favor?" And he said, "Sure."
I
They'll
don't think
never ask for anything.
I don't think there'd be a Shape Comics without a Todd
I don't-
McFarlane.
yeah.
So
Probably. He's the one I cited the most when I was like trying to do an indie comic book company, because he's the one who broke away from Marvel because he was upset with them and wanted to do his own thing.
Mhm.
And that's what we want. I mean, we didn't break away from Marvel,
Yeah.
but we wanted to do our own thing.
we weren't relying on the IP farms of the independent comic
No,
book
yeah.
community. No offense to any publishers out there. It's just,
No,
wanted
but
to
it's
do our own
it's
thing.
true. Going out and striking on your own, it's going to be harder, but it's going to be more rewarding, and you get to own everything. Those guys that had their own IPs in the '90s, a lot of them went to work at the big two, and then now if they have it from the '90s, they're like bring it back to Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Yeah. And that's what
And-
a lot of things a lot of things that the internet has opened up as far as doors go is like you can kickstart your project and then take it to somewhere like Scout Comics or
Mhm.
Image Comics, and then you have your retail side, but then you had this big launch to help fund your project for a little
Mhm.
bit,
Right.
and get the word out too. Because
Yeah.
that's like 50% of the job, if not more, becomes promoting the thing, not just making it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you guys have been killing it on that end. Like I wouldn't have found you had you guys not been, promoting your stuff.
Yeah.
So
Redrawing superheroes I made as a kid.
Making the social media.
yeah,
posts
that was a
after grind.
dynamite post. That's again my friend Tomas, who's now in the chat. He sent that. He was like, "This guy's just redrawing superheroes he does as a kid."
Mm. Those superheroes I did as a kid are gonna make a comeback pretty soon. I didn't really have any plans for doing comic books for them. I kind of wanted to finish Shape Man and then start on this like horror series I want to write. But we were talking about it, and I mean, we wanted to do a Shape Man like trade paperback book, like a soft cover book with all the issues. And to do that, we really wanted to get over 100 pages, and with all three Shape Mans, it was only like 70, 75. So to reach that higher page count, we're doing a little 12-page comic for each of those other heroes that I redrew as a kid, or
Oh wow!
that I originally drew as a kid. And then that's going to be a new project coming later this year.
Right after Sonic Saturn.
That's cool, man. This is just great. I mean, you're killing it, and you have just kind of like everyone has this retro style. You have like a specific like lookbook almost when it comes to making comics.
We have kind of like a general standard when it comes to the books that we want to put our label on. Like as like, like obviously Boyd and I have like our thing as far as retro, but whenever we bring another artist on, we kind of just look for certain properties that we feel that would look potentially good in our coloring style. Like, for example, Nicholas Molera primarily does children's books, but he did The Ghost in the Machine and Microman and Bullet Boy, as well as he's going to be working on this next project with us as well. And so, if we can work with you, we can work with you, kind of thing. Because not everyone's going to draw retro. It's pretty much that. It's an entirely acquired taste. But but I don't think retro is necessarily a style, because like you look at someone like Jim Lee. If you gave Jim Lee like Jack Kirby's colorist and inker, he would look pretty darn retro, Yeah. Or if you printed his books through an old comic book press, it would look retro. The thing about like the retro look, and that's a question we get a lot, is like, well, how do you draw retro? How do I get my retro style? It's just kind of like they're all different, Jack Kirby's not Frank Frazetta, excuse me. But like Darwin Cook, I'm pretty sure you could take his book, any book of Darwin Cook, and color it in halftones, and you wouldn't even be able to tell.
No, coloring is super important. Like, you learn about that too. It's every aspect of the team has to come together.
Absolutely.
And it, I think this is going to be great. Again, that's 100 pages. 100. How many?
It'll be Sonic Saturn's story will be 102 pages.
Plus mini comics.
Plus mini comics and the Kickstarter credits. There's a lot.
And
it's up there.
There's some retro ads in it too.
It all looks so good, dude. I think this is a dynamite project. I think people are seeing that.
Speaking of Nicholas, that poster right there, that limited edition poster, Was
Yeah,
done
where
by
did that go?
Nicholas as well. We still got some of those a little bit further down. Right there.
That one. Yeah.
We have no, that's the stretch goal sticker sheet. One right above that. A little bit higher.
Oh, sorry, above.
Right there.
Oh,
That one right there. Yeah.
We have
that's
I think we
so
have
cool.
17 of those left. So if you haven't got one, I suggest getting them because we only have those and they'll be gone forever.
It's kind of awesome because Nick just like one day dropped that on us and was like, "Hey, I made this little piece of fan art. If you guys want to use it for the Kickstarter, you can." And then we were like, "What?
Yeah.
You just like did
the
this
best part about that message was if you want. It's like
if you want."
Yeah,
yes, I want.
Yeah, it's just this okay thing. You know, you don't have to use it and make money. No, but it's great though.
It's
That's
amazing.
such a cool design, man. It really, like, yeah. That looks like would be a great movie poster. And I just love the simplicity of his head is just Saturn. That's amazing.
I was going to say like a pinball table or like an arcade cabinet. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Mars Invaders from Mars esque.
Or like an NES game. Back when they used to have to, because the graphics sucked and they couldn't just put a 3D model, so they had to like actually, like create these insane art pieces, and then you get it, and you just play the game, and it's just like 8 bits.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But this one, what I like about the comics, you open it, and then you got some pretty good interior art. So, what's the timetable for this project? I'm just curious.
So the Kickstarter ends in June. At the end of June. So we'll probably be getting the comic books to everybody probably by like mid-September. Digitals will probably be within the middle of August because we'll just send them all out to everybody. But the physical comics, you got the print times, and then we got to get all the rewards together, got to get the surveys filled out. So if you're a backer and you're listening, and when I send that email for the surveys, the sooner you reply, the sooner you'll get your comic. So
the surveys. That was one of the curveballs I learned with Kickstarter, and a lot of people are still like, I didn't get my book. I'm like, did you fill out a survey? And like, what's that?
Yeah, that was the big one for Sonic Saturn. The first one is just like hunting people down for their surveys.
Oh, yeah. Or I'd rather they hunt me down, but sometimes I have them. Hunting them down is good because it's like I'm just trying to help you get your product, man.
Yeah,
exactly. I still get survey replies like trickling in from Shaman 3.
Yeah.
So it's never ending.
Some people just don't check their email.
Yeah. Or that's one of the reasons why like Indiegogo is almost, I like the look of the Kickstarter site, but what I like about Indiegogo is you put your address, your credit card info, you pay it, it's done, and you don't have to really think about it. You can check the emails if you want, but you don't have to really think about it until it's at your doorstep. It's one of the things I like about it. The having to chase them down, but I do love Kickstarter. I also like I have green, the green color scheme. I don't know. It also looks better with this too. Was that planned?
No, that was an accident.
Okay.
Was what planned?
The cover being green with Kickstarter.
Oh.
It just happens to work out that way.
Yeah.
It looks great, guys.
Yeah.
I think this book is going to kick some ass. Is there anything else you want to tell everyone about before we start closing things out?
I don't know. What do you?
Kickstarter ends June 30th. Get it while you can. Get that limited edition poster. Any other goodies we have? We're close to another stretch goal. We just hit our first stretch goal today. So if you're a physical backer, you get a free sticker sheet that was shown a couple times. Let's see. What else can I throw out there? Follow us on socials.
We may this will be the first book that we're trying to get onto like comic book store shelves.
Oh yes.
So we'll be getting an ISBN number, and hopefully you could eventually pick it up at your local store if we've reached out to them and they have some.
And let's see, what else can we put out there? Check out our YouTube. We got a lot of videos on there. I know we're on YouTube right now, so Shape Comics YouTube.
Let me. Oh, I just said follow Breyden and then forgot to post the link.
That's okay.
All right, there we go. Here we go.
And
check it out.
next Kickstarter is slated for September. So
Ooh, yeah, you guys
That'll
are moving
be-
fast.
we're
That'll
gonna
be
have
that triple feature.
we're gonna have a fantastic shape timber.
Mhm.
Great, dude. Yeah, see, ours is just Vaughn, you better or my friend's gonna yell at me if I don't read this. In all seriousness, guys, your project looks great. You hold yourselves well, and it's amazing. The quality is professional. I'm hooked in. And this guy's a Kubert School grad. He's a friend of mine, and
Oh,
we're working
man.
on some stuff together.
I love the
so.
Kubert School.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
shout out to you, man. I
Yeah.
wish I could have gone.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, people are really liking this book, and I think you'll definitely see some backers roll in. Make some videos on YouTube for these guys because they're boomers and can't do it themselves. Is this true?
Yes.
This is
yes.
true.
This is
Yes.
true. Okay.
Shout out to Violet. Violet is just awesome. They help so much. I mean, they
Yes.
did our animated trailers. They did they post our stuff to YouTube for us. They color the book.
Color.
They're just a beast. Just a
Mhm.
beast.
And it's Shape Comics? Is that the?
Yeah.
All right, let me make sure. Oh, okay, right here. Oh, all right. I wasn't subscribed. Everyone, make sure to subscribe and get not only to get those backer numbers up, but get that subscription number up. Make sure you follow them on all the socials if you want to see more of what these guys do. And even if you want to just see that pretty on your feed, make sure to check them out with all the links I'm sending. And yeah, I think other than that, I'd love to have you on again. I want to start another channel. Not another show on my channel in addition to Vaughn Coleman Presents, just because there's always so many indie comics going, and people who may have been on my show once may want to go again. And so I think I'm going to start kind of like an indie comic shop kind of show where I'm going to have people can come on and basically pitch their books, and it's almost going to be like browsing the shelf, but with indie comics, like Kickstarter campaigns, and we could just hang out. It'll be kind of like like how people talk in the comic shop. I'm working out the details, but I'd love to have you guys on that. And next week, I'm going to have one, possibly two guests, but one guest confirmed, and that is an actor who has a show out on Tubi. Let me pull up the exact name of the show, but hold on. Let me find it. But yeah, I do have an actor, so we're kind of switching things up a little bit. It's called Get On Our Own. It's got Brian O'Halloran, who is in Clerks, is in it. But yeah, so make sure to check that out.
Oh, yeah.
And keep posted. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure to like this video and show these guys some love. And until next time, keep posted, keep on my socials. See you guys next time.